Hi, today I'm joined with Paul Truscott, and today's topic is about query-based terms with regards to salient terms and their effects on ranking. So, Paul, why is this important?
Okay, so query-based salient terms, this is a Google terminology. It basically, what they are all the terms and words that Google would expect to see in a piece of content if it were written by an expert. That's probably the easiest way to sum it up. So as opposed to being written by an SEO who's done a little bit of research on the topic and then come up with a bunch of terms or used an LLM to write a piece of content. The popular content writers out there, they do usually quite a bad job when it comes to QBST.
So, with regards to that, what was the acronym there?
QBST, yeah, so query-based
QB,
salient terms.
right. So, with regards to QBST, right, how do you go about trying to get those salient terms? Because obviously, everyone now who's going to be watching this is going to be,
Yep.
we want to implement QBST. How do we do it?
The best way to do it is to define, first of all, the topic that you're going to write on, and then the context. As I always cite Curry, because all of this has been learned one way or another via him. Not all of it directly from him, but all as a result of following him, basically. So I'll always credit him for this. So what I would suggest everyone does is to look, first of all, what's the topic that I'm going to write on, and then from what context. That's super, super important. Curry's always forever saying context is king, context is everything, right? And it really is, because you can write a lovely piece of content, and if you've written it from the wrong context, it's never going to rank for the keywords that you're going after. So it's not just about getting, you've got to find the salient terms for the context that you're writing from. So define the context. So if I'm going to write about, I don't know, let's say asphalt paving, right? And I want to write, I'm doing a home service page. I can write from the context of the process of it. I can write from the pricing. I can write from the context of my reputation, so it's a company attribute. I can write from the context of the types of asphalt or the types of paving. I might do more than asphalt and talk about the different types of paving. So there's lots of different contexts if I'm doing a page on paving that I might write it from. So I've got to define that first, and then I've got to look at, okay, within that, what are the QBSTs that I'm going to use? The best way to do it, honestly, the easy way, if you don't know the topic, is Gemini. Right? And I always pick Gemini for this because Gemini is, in terms of architecture, it's the closest LLM to the ones that Google is using when it actually analyzes. So in other words, I look at, okay, look at who's going to mark my homework, which teacher's going to mark my homework, and go and see if I can get any information out of them. I guess that's the kind of approach. And I found that Gemini has been the best. And how I've ascertained that is simply by going to Gemini on topics that I know very deeply, and so I know what the QBST is for those topics, and then ask Gemini.
So, with regards to when you're looking for the QBSTs, obviously you've got different attributes on the page, which might be different types of or predicates, which might be different questions. Are you looking at the QBSTs at a paragraph level, or just at a page level, or literally in each H2 section? You're like, okay,
At section level. Yeah.
at section level.
Yeah. So you'll have a set of QBSTs which are relevant to the entire page. So they direct the salience of the page. So for example, if you're writing a page on, I think of something that I know. So let's say portable toilet rental, right? I'm going to be using the word portable toilet rental, restroom rental, portable bathroom rental, or portable toilets, porta potties. I'm going to be using those terms throughout the entire page, every section. But if I'm now processing a section of that page from the cost context, I'm going to be using words like budget, price, affordability, those type, cost, quote, those type of words. So those now become salient for that topic in that context. So each section is going to be different depending on the context of that section.
But when we're looking at like QBST, so query-based salient terms, how is this different from just keywords or LSI, so latent semantic indexing keywords and stuff like that? What makes this different to that? Because it sounds pretty similar.
It does sound similar. Really good question. Okay, so the LSI terms, really the way that the recent Google leak has uncovered is that there's no such thing really technically as LSI terms. What they are is synonyms, hyponyms, halonyms, all the nyms basically, and associated words that you might expect to see on a page with a certain topic, but they're different to QBST. So the QBST terms, so to give you an example, if we were talking about a shower installation, right? I don't know where I've plucked that from, but if you were talking about shower installation, LSI terms might be shower doors, taps, sink, basin, etc. Yeah. But those wouldn't be QBST terms. Those wouldn't be terms that an expert would be using to install a shower, right? So they're things you'd expect to see in that room, but they're not relevant to the installation of what we're talking about. So they are different. So these are terms that are the terms that an expert would use if they were writing on the topic. Terms and words that they would use, entities that they would use, really important to pull out all those entities, but don't use too many, because now you can start dragging the vector in the wrong way, in the wrong direction, if that makes sense. So make sure the entities you're using are very, very strictly relevant to the context that you're writing the piece from. And then you're going to be looking at disambiguating terms. If there are any disambiguating terms that an expert might use to clarify what they're saying, those would also be part of QBST. Any industry terms that you might use would be part of QBST. So they're different to keywords. Yeah. Similar kind of concept, but you could kind of frame it as saying this is the modern day equivalent of keywords, really, in a sense.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's great, this information, because now I don't really, as part of any of my prompts, I'm always trying to go, how can I get my writers to seem more like expert writers on different topics that we might be writing about?
That's the challenge always,
Yeah, I'm now definitely going to be getting them to start looking and extracting all the query-based salient terms. And because, you explained to me the importance of it, it makes complete sense. The shower installation, like the tap and all the other stuff, isn't really in the context of the installation of it. No. People might want to know about price, how long it takes, and all the rest of the materials and stuff like that. So, yeah, query-based salient terms is certainly going to be something now that I'm going to try to start implementing for sure.
Excellent.
Well, it's been a pleasure, Paul Truscott.
Nice
to have you on, and definitely, if anyone who's watching this, leave a comment in the comment section. Are you using query-based salient terms as part of your content writing?